Today we are diving into some really powerful coaching strategies from Dr. John Giordano. They're all designed to help turn that feeling of procrastination and distraction into real momentum. So, if you've ever felt like you're in a constant battle with your own brain just to get things done, well, these next few minutes are for you.
You know that feeling, right? You've got your to-do list, you genuinely want to do the things on it, but actually starting, man, it feels like trying to push a boulder uphill. It's such a common frustration, and honestly, it's the perfect place for us to start.
Okay, let's get into it. The very first tool in our kit isn't some fancy technique, it's actually a mindset shift. Dr. Giordano's coaching kicks off by completely changing how we think about ADHD, because that new perspective, it's the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
I love this idea because it flips the whole script. It's not a deficit of attention, it's an abundance of it. Your brain is just trying to pay attention to everything at once. Reframing it like this helps us see the superpowers that come with this kind of wiring, like out-of-the-box thinking and being able to adapt to anything on the fly.
So, with that new frame of mind, let's get practical. Our first tool is the Pomodoro technique. Now, you've probably heard of it. It's a super popular way to manage time. But we're not just looking at the classic version. We're going to explore Dr. Jordan's specific tweaks that make it work for the ADHD brain.
So the standard method is beautiful in its simplicity. Step 1, you pick just one task. Step 2, you work on it, totally focused, for about 20 to 25 minutes. Step 3, you take a quick 5-minute break. And finally, Step 4, you just repeat the whole cycle. Sounds easy enough, right? But for an ADHD brain, there's a bit of a catch.
And here it is. Here's the critical flaw. For a brain that already struggles to get into that flow state, a rigid timer can be the very thing that yanks you out of it. Just when you're finally hitting your groove, an arbitrary alarm goes off and bam, your momentum is completely gone.
And you can see the adjustment right here. On the left, you've got that rigid, one-size-fits-all approach. But on the right is the ADHD adjusted method. And it's all about finding your natural rhythm. Maybe your sweet spot is 20 minutes, maybe it's 40. You work until you hit a natural pause. And maybe even more important is the kind of break you take. That's a game changer.
Yeah, your break needs to be a reset, not a rabbit hole you can't climb out of. Things like moving your body, getting a little sunshine, or putting on a favorite song can totally refresh your brain. The big idea is to stay away from activities that are hard to pull away from, like, the endless scroll on your phone, or rituals that tell your brain we're done for the day, which makes getting back to work feel impossible.
Okay, now for our second tool, and this one is even more fundamental. We're going to move beyond just managing time and start looking at the very engine that drives our behavior, the science of our habits.
So, Dr. Giordano breaks it down like this. Every single habit you have, the good, the bad, all of them, runs on a simple 3-part cycle in your brain. It's called the habit loop, and once you understand this loop, you can start to hijack it for your own benefit.
It always starts with a cue. Think of the cue as the trigger that tells your brain to launch a specific automatic program. For procrastination, a cue could be anything: seeing a big, scary task on your to-do list, feeling overwhelmed, or even just the time of day. That cue then kicks off the routine. This is the behavior itself, the action you take. So if the cue was feeling totally overwhelmed by a project, the routine might be to, open up Instagram instead of your work document. This is the part we usually just call the habit.
And finally, you get the reward. This is the payoff. It's what satisfies that craving your brain had, and it tells your brain, hey, that worked. Let's remember this whole loop for next time. This is what locks the habit in place.
So what do we do with this information? Well, now that we can see the hidden structure, we can learn how to take apart our own habits and consciously rebuild them so they actually work for us, not against us.
Let's look at this perfect example from Dr. Giordano. The habit we want to change is scrolling on our phone in bed. The cue, as you can see, is just getting into bed. Now, the trick isn't to fight the cue, it's to swap in a new routine. In this case, reading a magazine. This new routine gives you a similar or maybe even better reward, that sense of calm and winding down.
And that right there, that is the secret sauce. You're not trying to use brute force willpower to ignore the trigger. You're just consciously swapping out the action that follows it, aiming for a reward that feels just as good. It's about becoming an architect of your habits instead of a victim of them. So, let's put it all together. You've now got 2 really powerful strategies you can add to your personal toolkit for hacking your own focus.
So what are the big takeaways? First, reframe your mindset. It's not a deficit, it's an abundance of attention.
Second, make time management techniques like Pomodoro work for you and your brain's rhythm. And finally, become a habit detective. Find that cue, routine, reward loop so you can consciously swap out the bad routines for better ones.
And really, that's what it all comes down to. These tools aren't about trying to force your brain to be something that's not. They're about learning its unique operating system so you can finally start working with it. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What could you really achieve if you started collaborating with your brain instead of constantly fighting against it?